Have you ever felt trapped by your own feelings, as if they were steering your life while your mind quietly watched, powerless? You know what you want, you know what you should do, yet somehow fear, anger, sadness, or doubt sneaks in and takes control, leading you down paths you never intended to walk. That inner battle between what you feel and what you know is something almost everyone experiences, yet very few ever learn to master. It's not a flaw, it's not weakness. It's simply the way the mind and emotions interact. But here's the truth, your mind has the power to rise above your feelings, to guide them instead of being ruled by them, and when that happens, your life begins to shift in ways you never thought possible. Every time a negative thought creeps in, every time anxiety tightens its grip or anger flares like a wildfire inside you, your emotions are trying to send a message. They are signals, but they are not instructions. The mistake most people make is believing that a strong feeling must be followed, that it must dictate their next move. Imagine how much energy, how much potential is wasted this way. Imagine making decisions in the heat of the moment, then looking back with regret and wishing you had paused, wished you had acted differently. That regret, that sense of helplessness is the cost of living a life led by feelings alone. And yet, the most powerful realization is that none of this is permanent, none of it has to control you. Your mind can learn to lead. Think about the moments in your life where a single feeling has changed everything. A burst of anger that shattered a relationship, a wave of fear that kept you from pursuing an opportunity, a moment of doubt that stopped you from going after your dreams. These moments are small, yet they compound over time, creating chains that bind you to outcomes you never truly wanted. And this is where most people give up. They believe emotions are stronger than they are. But the reality is far more empowering. Your mind is stronger than any feeling if you are willing to train it. If you are willing to pause, observe, and respond rather than react, you step into a power almost no one fully taps into. This is not about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. Emotions are valuable. They tell us what matters, they warn us of danger, they connect us to our humanity. The problem arises when we let them dictate the direction of our life. Fear should alert you, but not paralyze you. Anger should inform you, but not consume you. Sadness should allow you to reflect, not imprison you. The moment you start seeing emotions as guides instead of rulers, you begin reclaiming control. That is where the journey begins, from feeling controlled to feeling in charge. And the reward? Freedom. The freedom to act deliberately, the freedom to make choices that align with your values, the freedom to create a life built on clarity and purpose, not impulsive reactions. Imagine waking up every day with the certainty that your mind will lead, no matter what you feel. Imagine making decisions calmly, confidently, and intentionally. Imagine facing fear and uncertainty without trembling, facing anger without exploding, facing doubt without hesitation. That reality is possible. The first step is awareness, recognizing that a thought or feeling is just that, a passing event in your consciousness, not a command you must obey. The second step is choice, the moment where you decide to act from your mind, not your impulses. And every single time you make that choice, no matter how small, you strengthen your ability to lead. You begin to wire your brain to respond with intention rather than reaction. You begin to step into a power few ever experience. This power is not reserved for the naturally strong or the exceptionally disciplined. It is available to anyone who is willing to observe, to pause, and to act with awareness. The strongest people are not those without feelings. They are those who have learned to channel their feelings, to harness their energy, and to let the mind guide the heart instead of the other way around. Every moment you struggle with emotion, every time you feel pulled in different directions, remember that the battle is not lost. Your mind is capable of more than you realize. It can become a leader so strong that feelings, no matter how intense, become allies instead of enemies. And the moment you feel that power, the moment you realize that you are in control, life begins to bend toward your intentions. Nothing feels more liberating than knowing that no matter what storms rage inside you, your mind is stronger. Would you like me to continue and write the second section in the same deeply motivational and immersive style? Your mind and your emotions are constantly in conversation, yet most people have never learned to listen to that conversation without being swept away by it. Emotions arrive with force. They are loud, urgent, demanding your attention. Fear shouts, anger burns, sadness pulls you down, and excitement distracts you. And in the chaos, the rational mind often whispers softly, trying to guide, to reason, to lead. The problem is not that emotions exist, but that most of us never learn to distinguish between a feeling that signals an opportunity and a feeling that demands reaction. Every day, countless choices are hijacked by impulses we later regret, all because the mind has not been trained to observe, evaluate, and decide. Yet understanding this battle is the first step toward mastery. When you see emotions for what they truly are, messengers rather than commanders, you reclaim the power to act consciously, to choose deliberately, and to live intentionally. The human brain is wired for survival, which means emotions evolved to keep you safe, to alert you to danger, to push you toward action when needed. Fear is not the enemy, it is a signal. Anger is not the enemy, it is energy waiting for direction. Joy is not the enemy, it is fuel that can drive either clarity or chaos. The challenge arises when the mind allows these signals to dictate action without evaluation. Every emotional response carries a message, but not every message requires immediate obedience. You can feel without surrendering. You can acknowledge without yielding. And in that space between feeling and reaction lies your power, the space where the mind becomes the leader and the heart becomes a partner rather than a tyrant. Every moment you feel a strong emotion is a moment of opportunity. A wave of anxiety is a chance to pause and ask yourself, what am I reacting to? What is this feeling telling me? A surge of anger is a chance to channel energy into problem solving rather than destruction. A pang of sadness is an invitation to reflect, to understand, and to grow stronger. Most people never seize these moments. They are swept away by the immediate intensity of feelings, losing clarity, losing control, and losing themselves in the process. But the difference between those who are controlled and those who are free is simple: awareness. The ability to observe your emotions without automatically reacting, to witness them as passing events in the mind rather than permanent truths, changes everything. This is the turning point where ordinary people step into extraordinary mastery. When you begin to separate observation from reaction, you activate a profound shift in the brain. Science calls this metacognition, the ability to think about your thinking, to reflect on your own mental and emotional processes. When practiced consistently, this ability strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and long-term planning. In practical terms, this means that over time you respond with intelligence rather than instinct, with strategy rather than panic, with purpose rather than habit. The feelings are still there, but they no longer dictate your actions. They become data points, tools to guide you rather than chains to bind you. Imagine facing a difficult conversation with someone who has wronged you. Most people react with a mix of anger, fear, or defensiveness, only to regret their words later. But when the mind is trained to observe first, the equation changes. You notice the surge of emotion, name it, and then choose your response. Perhaps you speak calmly, assertively, or with empathy. Perhaps you step back and allow time for reflection. Either way, you act intentionally rather than being pulled into reactive chaos. The same principle applies to every area of life: stress at work, setbacks in relationships, fear of failure, waves of doubt. The more you practice this, the more habitual it becomes. What once felt impossible, responding to life with control instead of chaos, becomes natural. The key is consistent awareness. Every time a feeling arises, treat it as a signal, not a command. Ask yourself, is this feeling guiding me toward clarity or pulling me into impulsive action? Then pause, breathe, and respond deliberately. At first, this requires effort. At first, it feels unnatural. But every repetition strengthens the neural pathways that support calm, rational, and intentional action. Every moment of self-observation is a moment where your mind asserts its authority over fleeting impulses. Slowly, the mind rewires itself to become stronger than the most intense emotions, to see clearly even in the storm, and to act with precision even under pressure. This process transforms not just your decisions but your life. You begin to notice patterns in your behavior, triggers you never saw before, and the subtle ways your emotions have been steering your life without your permission. With awareness comes control, and with control comes freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from impulsive mistakes, freedom from the constant inner tug-of-war that leaves most people exhausted, frustrated, and unfulfilled. Life stops feeling like a battle against your own mind. Instead, it becomes a field where your mind, calm and decisive, leads the way, and your feelings, once wild and unruly, now support you as allies. The most profound truth is this: emotions are powerful, but your mind is stronger. Every feeling that rises, every wave of impulse, is an opportunity to practice mastery. Each time you pause, reflect, and choose intentionally, you strengthen the part of yourself that can lead through any storm. This is not theoretical. It is practical, tangible, and life-changing. The day you internalize this, you stop being a prisoner of fleeting feelings. You step into a life where your choices are guided by awareness, your actions are deliberate, and your mind is the unshakable anchor amidst the turbulence of emotion. The journey begins with observation, but it does not end there. It transforms you, moment by moment, into someone who commands their life with clarity, strength, and unwavering purpose. Your emotions are powerful. Your mind can be stronger. The choice is not only possible, it is yours to claim. Mastering your emotions begins with understanding, but mastery deepens when you take deliberate action. Awareness alone is not enough. Observation creates the space for choice, but choice only transforms your life when it is repeated, practiced, and reinforced. Every time you resist the urge to act on impulse, every time you pause instead of reacting, you are training your mind to lead. This is not a single act, it is a habit, a discipline, a way of being. And the most powerful aspect of this practice is that it compounds. Each moment of self-control strengthens your ability to act intentionally the next time until responding with clarity becomes effortless, almost automatic. What once felt impossible, the ability to remain calm, decisive, and rational even under pressure, slowly becomes your new standard. The mind thrives on repetition. Just as the body grows stronger through exercise, the mind strengthens through conscious effort. Each choice you make to pause and observe before reacting is a repetition that reinforces self-mastery. Every time you confront fear without surrendering, you expand your capacity for courage. Every time you face anger without exploding, you expand your capacity for patience and understanding. Every time you acknowledge sadness without allowing it to paralyze you, you expand your capacity for resilience. These moments may seem small in isolation, but over time, they build a mind capable of steering even the most turbulent emotional storms. The difference between reacting and responding is enormous. Reacting is automatic, it is driven by immediate impulses, by raw feelings that demand expression. Responding is intentional, it is driven by your values, by your long-term vision, by the clarity that comes from a trained mind. Reacting keeps you trapped, cycling through frustration, regret, and self-doubt. Responding liberates you, allowing you to move through life with confidence, control, and purpose. This is the key to becoming stronger than your feelings, the ability to consistently choose response over reaction. Training your mind requires deliberate techniques that create structure and reinforce discipline. Start by noticing your triggers, the specific situations, words, or events that ignite strong emotions. Awareness of triggers is the first step toward neutralizing their power. Next, practice pausing. When a feeling rises, pause for a breath, even a few seconds. In that brief moment, your mind reclaims its authority. That pause is your opportunity to observe the emotion without letting it dictate your actions. Then, choose your response. Ask yourself, what action aligns with my values? What choice moves me closer to the life I want? This practice, repeated consistently, rewires the brain. Neural pathways form, strengthening your ability to act with intention instead of impulse, to lead your feelings instead of being led by them. Visualization is another powerful tool. Imagine yourself facing a situation that normally triggers fear, anger, or frustration. Visualize yourself responding calmly, thoughtfully, and deliberately. Feel the confidence, the control, the clarity that comes with this choice. Your brain cannot distinguish vividly imagined experiences from real ones. Repeating these mental rehearsals strengthens your capacity to act the same way when real-life situations arise. Over time, this creates an internal standard, a subconscious expectation that you act with awareness and intention rather than surrendering to emotion. Reframing your thoughts is equally essential. Emotions often arise from distorted interpretations of reality. Fear may exaggerate danger. Anger may assign blame unfairly. Sadness may amplify loss. By questioning the narratives behind your feelings, you regain perspective. Ask, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Does it serve my goals? When you reframe the meaning behind an emotion, its intensity diminishes and your mind gains control. You begin to see emotions as information rather than commands, as signals that guide rather than chains that bind. Discipline in daily routines reinforces emotional mastery. Simple practices, journaling your thoughts, setting aside time for reflection, practicing mindful breathing, create stability and strengthen the mind's leadership. These routines are the scaffolding that support a powerful mental structure. They remind the mind that it is in charge, that feelings are temporary, and that decisions are deliberate. Over time, the structure becomes internalized, Your mind no longer struggles against emotions, it channels them, harnessing their energy for purposeful action rather than destructive reaction. The ultimate reward of this training is profound freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from impulsive mistakes, freedom from the inner chaos that keeps most people trapped. When your mind leads, you gain clarity even in uncertainty, resilience even in adversity, and focus even when distractions and temptations abound. Life stops being a series of battles with your own impulses. Instead, it becomes a field where your mind guides every step, where emotions enhance rather than hinder, where action flows from awareness and purpose rather than compulsion. Strengthening your mind over your feelings transforms not just your actions, but your entire experience of life. Challenges no longer intimidate you, setbacks no longer define you, fear becomes an indicator, anger becomes energy to act constructively, and doubt becomes an invitation to deliberate evaluation. The more you practice, the more habitual this becomes, until it is second nature. You become the person who responds with clarity when others panic, who moves with intention when others react, who leads your life from a place of strength rather than surrender. Every day presents countless opportunities to exercise this strength. Every emotional surge is a chance to choose response over reaction, awareness over surrender, intention over impulse. The mind that trains consistently becomes unshakable, capable of steering even the most turbulent emotional storms, and the life that emerges from this practice is extraordinary, one of calm, clarity, focus, and unstoppable forward momentum. Every moment you invest in mastering your mind is a step toward a life where feelings no longer control you, where you lead with power, and where your choices shape a future limited only by your vision and determination. Your mind is capable of incredible strength. Your feelings are powerful, but they do not have to dominate. The moment you commit to observation, pause, and deliberate action, you claim control. You step into a life where the mind leads and feelings follow, not the other way around. That is mastery. That is freedom. That is the life you were meant to live. The mind that has learned to lead over feelings begins to operate in a state of power few ever experience. It is no longer reactive, no longer a prisoner of impulses or fleeting emotions. Every thought, every decision, every action is filtered through clarity and intention. This is not a state of cold detachment. It is a state of mastery, where emotions are acknowledged, understood, and harnessed, not allowed to dictate the direction of your life. Strengthening your mind in this way transforms your entire experience of reality. Life becomes less about surviving emotional storms and more about navigating them with precision and purpose. You begin to see opportunities where others see chaos, solutions where others see obstacles, and possibilities where others see limitations. Every choice you make from this space of mental leadership builds resilience. When fear arises, it no longer stops you. When doubt whispers lies, it no longer controls you. When anger flares, it no longer consumes you. Each challenge becomes a test not of strength over circumstance, but of strength over self. The more you exercise this control, the more natural it becomes, until responding with awareness is your instinct, and reacting impulsively feels foreign. You begin to operate from a position of unwavering stability, where emotions are no longer the masters of your fate, but allies that provide insight, fuel, and guidance. This mastery is cultivated through consistency. Every moment of pause, every deliberate choice, every instance of observing rather than reacting compounds over time. The mind does not strengthen overnight. It is forged through repeated acts of intentionality. Each day, each interaction, each decision is an opportunity to train yourself to act with calm precision, to harness energy instead of being hijacked by it. Fear, anger, sadness, and excitement are no longer threats, they become tools. You learn to use their energy strategically, directing it toward growth, achievement, and deliberate action. What once felt uncontrollable now becomes a source of empowerment. Visualization amplifies this process. When you imagine yourself facing moments that once triggered chaos and see yourself responding with clarity, calm, and control, your brain begins to internalize that reality. You begin to expect deliberate responses from yourself, and your mind adapts to meet that expectation. Every mental rehearsal strengthens the pathways that support focus, patience, and intentionality. Soon, when real-life challenges arrive, your mind does not panic. It does not falter. It does not yield. It responds as it has been trained. Powerful, precise, and unshakable. Reframing your perception of emotions is equally essential. Emotions are not obstacles to overcome. They are signals to decode. Fear signals where growth is possible. Anger signals where boundaries are being crossed. Sadness signals what has been lost or neglected. Excitement signals what resonates with your true desires. By interpreting emotions this way, you transform them from tyrants into guides. They provide clarity, insight, and energy that the mind can channel constructively. The result is a life where you are never a victim of circumstance or feeling. Instead, you navigate every experience with confidence, authority, and purpose. Discipline in thought and action solidifies this mastery. Mindful practices, such as reflection, journaling, focused breathing, and intentional pauses, create a mental framework that strengthens control over impulses. This framework acts as an anchor during turbulent times. When stress, conflict, or pressure rises, the mind trained in these habits remains steady. It does not fracture under the weight of emotion. It sees clearly, evaluates accurately, and responds with precision. Over time, this builds not only self-control but a deep, unshakable sense of inner strength. The ultimate reward of this training is freedom. Freedom from regret, from impulsive mistakes, from emotional chaos that drains energy and clarity. When your mind leads, you gain the ability to act decisively, pursue goals relentlessly, and face life's uncertainties without fear. You no longer react to life, you shape it. Every decision, every interaction, every challenge becomes an opportunity to demonstrate your power over self, to act from a place of deliberate choice rather than emotional compulsion. This freedom is transformative. It affects every corner of your existence, your relationships, your career, your health, and your personal growth. Strengthening the mind over feelings is not merely a skill, it is a way of life. It changes how you perceive the world, how you respond to adversity, and how you experience every emotion. Challenges become opportunities, setbacks become lessons, and emotions become allies instead of adversaries. The more you practice, the more deeply ingrained this mastery becomes, until it is no longer effort, it is instinct. You no longer fear emotions because you know they are temporary, navigable, and controllable. You no longer hesitate in the face of challenges because your mind remains your unwavering guide. Each day presents countless moments to exercise this strength. Each time a surge of fear, anger, doubt, or sadness arises, you have the choice to pause, observe, and act intentionally. Each time you take that choice, your mind grows stronger, your resilience deepens, and your ability to live intentionally expands. Life stops being a series of battles against inner impulses and becomes a continuous practice of conscious mastery. The mind that leads over feelings becomes a mind that commands its own destiny. Emotions are inevitable, powerful, and influential, but the mind, trained, disciplined, and practiced, can become stronger than any feeling. It can guide, shape, and harness emotions to serve your goals and aspirations. The moment you commit to this process, every choice you make, every challenge you face, and every emotion you feel becomes part of a powerful, transformative journey. A journey where you are not at the mercy of fleeting impulses, but the master of your own life, navigating each day with clarity, strength, and unwavering purpose. The mind can be stronger than your feelings. The choice to lead, to act intentionally, and to harness your emotions lies within you. The power is yours to claim, moment by moment, decision by decision, until mastery becomes the natural rhythm of your life. When your mind leads, life transforms in ways you may have never imagined. The chaos that once seemed unavoidable, the emotional storms, the impulsive decisions, the moments of regret, begins to dissolve. You start to operate from a place of clarity, where every action is intentional and every decision aligned with your highest purpose. This is not luck or coincidence. It is the result of consistent practice, deliberate choice, and unwavering commitment to mental mastery. Each time you pause instead of reacting, each time you observe instead of surrendering, you reinforce a mental framework that strengthens with every moment. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, until responding with calm, clarity, and control is no longer an effort, it is your default state. Strength comes not from denying your emotions, but from understanding and harnessing them. Every feeling that arises is a signal, a message that contains information you can use. Fear shows you where you can grow. Anger highlights what is unfair or violated. Doubt reveals the areas where clarity is needed. Even sadness carries insight, a chance to reflect and recalibrate. When you view emotions as tools rather than obstacles, you unlock a power that most people never even consider. You begin to transform every challenge into an opportunity to strengthen your mind, every emotional surge into a chance to act intentionally, and every moment of discomfort into a stepping stone toward mastery. Discipline is the bridge between potential and transformation. Awareness creates the possibility for choice, but action solidifies it. Each deliberate pause, each intentional response, each conscious decision to act from your mind rather than your impulses reinforces the neural pathways that make clarity your instinct. This is not a theoretical exercise. It is tangible, practical, and accessible to anyone willing to commit. Over time, these repeated choices compound, creating a mental resilience that allows you to remain steady and purposeful in any situation. You no longer react automatically to external pressures or internal impulses. You respond deliberately, with precision and with confidence. Visualization accelerates this process. When you mentally rehearse responding with clarity to situations that typically trigger fear, anger, or doubt, you prime your brain for real-world mastery. Vividly imagine yourself staying calm when tension rises, acting decisively when fear emerges, and thinking clearly when emotions surge. Your brain begins to internalize this response as the standard. Over time, what once required effort becomes instinct. When real-life challenges appear, you move with deliberate control, turning moments of potential chaos into demonstrations of inner strength. This is the science of intentional mental training. What you practice internally, you embody externally. Reframing thoughts is equally critical. Most emotions are intensified by distorted interpretations of reality. Fear exaggerates risk. Anger magnifies insult. Doubt distorts possibility. By questioning the meaning behind your feelings, you reclaim authority over them. Ask yourself, is this true? Is it useful? Does it move me toward my goals? When you reframe emotions as information rather than commands, you neutralize their destructive potential. You create a space where the mind dictates action, not the raw force of feeling. The result is a mind that sees clearly, acts intentionally, and navigates life with precision even when emotions are intense. Every practice, every moment of conscious choice builds momentum. Life begins to flow in alignment with intention rather than impulse. Challenges become opportunities, setbacks transform into lessons, and emotions evolve into allies that propel you forward rather than obstacles that hold you back. You start to notice patterns, triggers, habitual responses, and moments where your mind previously surrendered. With awareness comes control, and with control comes freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from impulsive mistakes, freedom from the constant, inner struggle that drains energy and clouds judgment. This freedom is not abstract, it is tangible. It manifests in every decision, every interaction, and every pursuit you undertake. The stronger your mind becomes, the more resilient you grow. You develop the ability to face fear without faltering, to confront anger without reacting destructively, and to move through doubt without hesitation. Every emotional surge becomes a test of control, a chance to exercise mastery, and an opportunity to reinforce the mental frameworks that make clarity automatic. Life stops being a series of battles with your own impulses and starts becoming a continuous practice of deliberate, purposeful action. Each choice to pause, reflect, and respond intentionally compounds your strength, until your mind can navigate even the most turbulent emotions with grace and precision. The ultimate reward of this transformation is profound empowerment. You no longer feel at the mercy of circumstances, people, or your own internal impulses. You operate from a place of authority over your life, capable of steering through challenges with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Decisions are no longer reactive, they are intentional. Actions are no longer impulsive, they are calculated and deliberate. You become a person who commands their destiny, rather than one who drifts with the currents of feeling. Emotions are not eradicated. They are harnessed, leveraged, and aligned with the life you choose to create. Every day presents countless moments to exercise this strength. Each wave of fear, each flicker of anger, each surge of doubt is a test, a chance to practice mental leadership. Each deliberate response strengthens your ability to lead your emotions rather than be led by them. Over time, mastery becomes instinct. Responding with clarity, focus, and purpose no longer requires effort. It is simply who you are. You move through life with an unshakable sense of control, using your emotions as fuel rather than chains. This is the life of a mind stronger than feelings. A life of freedom, resilience, and unstoppable momentum. Your emotions are powerful, your mind is stronger. Every choice you make to act deliberately, to pause, to observe, and to respond with intention brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. Mastery over feelings is not just a skill, it is a transformation, a permanent shift in how you navigate the world, make decisions, and experience yourself. Each moment you practice this power, you claim control. Each deliberate choice reinforces strength. Each act of awareness builds resilience. Your mind is capable of extraordinary power, and when it leads, your life follows with clarity, purpose, and unstoppable momentum.